It was faster, but he did decide to be OP, so he was sunny side up.
How much did he weigh?
He was 10 pounds even.
10 pounds even. My baby, Evelyn, was literally 5 pounds even. It's literally half of him. As far as like pain management, what are kind of like, what's your go-to? What's your mojo? Do you have any tools and resources or mindset?
Sometimes you'll have someone manipulate it, which happened to me in my first labor, and that was like the worst thing that ever. Yeah, like I could have done anything else again, but having someone do that for me, was the most. I don't remember making a lot of noise. You know, we were outside, none of the neighbors heard me, so I think we're good. I would say his labor was harder than my first labor.
Oh,
like it felt like so much energy was like being drawn from me.
What lessons have you learned through birth? Like if for a mom going through maybe her very first birth, or even, I don't know, maybe a mom preparing for a second birth, you know, what have you learned that has carried through all of your births? What's compounded? What would you advise to a mom? Hi mamas, my name is Megan Norkis and welcome to Our Virtual Village. Starting this podcast was inspired by a local mom group that I went to during my pregnancy and postpartum journey. Connecting with and relating to other moms was a major key for me as I was navigating all the new things that come with being a new mom. So my goal with this podcast is to bring those conversations and stories from my community to a virtual platform, and that's gonna bless moms everywhere. I'm so excited. My hope is that as you listen to this episode, you can hear from and learn about the common struggles that other moms are having in the trenches of motherhood with you, and feel encouraged because you're not momming alone. We're all winging it at this mom thing, and we can all learn from and help each other. So we're excited to have you as part of our village, and let's dive into the conversation. All right, well, I'm so excited for today's episode because it's a birth story, and I call myself a birth story nerd. So if you're someone who loves listening to birth stories, we're in for a treat today. I've never actually heard your birth story. I was thinking and praying a lot about who to ask because I know a lot of women with amazing birth stories, and you came to my mind. I'm like, I cannot wait to hear your birth story. And so instead of it being like a group setting, I get to sit here with you, so personalized. So I'm sitting here with Malu, and she is a midwife. How long have you been a midwife, actually, I should ask?
I graduated in 2020, so yeah.
Like 5 years. Yeah, awesome, amazing. So 5 years as a midwife, so that means you've blessed so many women. You're a mother yourself. You have an adorable daughter, Layla. She's so cute. And now we're going to be chatting about Cohen's entrance into this world, your son. So I'm really excited to dive in. Thank you for taking the time to sit here with me.
Anytime.
I think this is my tiniest and most adorable guest so far. But yeah, so we can just kind of dive right in, I guess. First of all, just introduce yourself. Who are you? How many kids do you have? How the heck did you end up in Jacksonville, Florida?
So yes, I'm Malu. So we have the two, Layla and Cohen. Oh, sorry, guys.
He's like, who, me?
He's sleeping, but always ready to jump in. So I'm from Miami and got into birth work starting there. Went into Gainesville, went to school there, and then ended up back in Miami for a little bit, but my partner is from Ponte Vedra, so it was either staying in Miami and continuing to, stay there and be in that kind of hustle and bustle and probably be bankrupt if we wanted to buy a house or live in Jacksonville because we wanted to be near our family. My whole family's down there and his whole family's here. So it was one or the other.
So you just did like rock, paper, scissors or?
It was more just like kind of thinking and out, weighing it. And then like Mandy had always told me because we were in school together that like anytime you come to Jacksonville, like I have a job for you. Are you coming to Jacksonville? Are you coming? And I was
what about now?
No. And then like every time we'd see each other, then I was like, actually, we're coming to Jacksonville.
That's so fun. And now you're with Modern Midwives.
Yes.
I was bragging on Mandy and then, her partner in practice, Maya. And like everybody loves Modern Midwives. I don't know if you're in all the same crunchy mom groups I am probably, but people are like, I just want to have more babies just so I can work with Modern Midwives. Like you guys you ladies, I should say, have such a great name. Your care is so valued. And I remember when I was pregnant, came into the practice kind of like later, and my husband and I were so nervous, like there's going to be this new midwife, like didn't know, it's kind of vulnerable because we hadn't met you yet, and we had one appointment with you towards like kind of the end of our pregnancy, and immediately I remember in the car like, I mean, if she showed up, we'd be like super happy with that. Like we were immediately comfortable with you because you just have such like a soft, kind demeanor, which I feel like most midwives probably should. You know?
I think so.
But what I guess what I'm wondering is, how did you, like, what shaped you as a midwife to show up so like just calm and confident? Because I'm just, like birth work sometimes is so fast paced in our Western world. So to show up like just like slow and just like letting the natural process happen and stuff, like where'd that passion come from? How do you show up the way you do in birth?
Well, I was also born at home. So then I just was always in that. And I thought that I wanted to get into the medical field. And then I like forgot that I just like was not raised like that at all. And then I was like, oh yeah, no, this is what I want to do. And I don't know. I don't think that, someone's in labor, they're already going through all the things that they're going through. Like you just need to take a step, like read the room and then, meet them wherever they are, whatever that means. And sometimes, that means being hands-on and being like, or even like kind of like a doula to them, or like being supportive, or just coming in, just sitting there and doing nothing. And then they look at you and they're like, oh, okay, you're here, and that's all I need.
Yeah, I just need to know I'm safe.
Yes, exactly.
That's amazing. I love that so much. And I will say, which is kind of, I guess, the point of listening to birth stories, but the more, like, Mandy was going through her birth story, and now we're going to talk about yours today, I'm like, this is perfect for me being pregnant, because that's one reason I wanted to include birth stories and, like, kind of the rotation of guests I bring on, because it is so important to listen to other perspectives or the way that women show up in, like, these vulnerable moments, because we used to, back in, centuries ago, grow up with a lot of women around, and like talking about birth. And I feel like in our Western world, it's just become so isolated, like maybe this big scary thing people don't talk about, or if they do, it's not very positive.
Yeah.
And so I, love to hear I just love sharing these stories and showing up for women who maybe don't have moms who birthed them at home and told these positive stories. So I'm excited to dive in. Was Layla born at home your first? How old is she?
Yeah, she turned 3 in February, so.
Oh, so
3
fun.
in a couple months.
Oh, I would think she's like 15. She sass queen.
Is our three-nager, as we call her. Yes.
Amazing.
Very sassy child.
3. Wow. I for some reason thought she was like 5.
That's what everybody thinks.
Really?
Yeah, she's tall.
Is she kind of tall? Okay, maybe that's why. Since I'm a nurse, I do this weird thing where I'm always guessing children's ages when they walk by. I'm like, they're probably about 4 or whatever. And so I just in my mind thought she was a little bit older. But
yeah. No, everyone's like, yeah, she's 4 or 5. I'm like, just 3.
She just turned 3. Oh
Not
my
yet.
God. That's awesome. So you had her at home. How was that experience? We'll dive deep into Cohen's birth story, but how was that? Like as a first-time mom, was it everything you dreamed of? Harder than you imagined?
We had one labor beforehand. So we have Layla and Cohen with us, and we have Anaya that is no longer with us.
Oh, angel
baby. So I had a very long labor with Anaya. That was like 2 days. And then
classic first time mom.
Yes, took forever, did all the things, and then ended up in an emergency transfer. And then they weren't able to, save her in that way.
Yeah.
And then I got pregnant with Layla maybe 4 months after. Basically like once we could.
Yeah.
And then Layla's birth was for me fast, because I was like, okay, well, if we can do it for 2 days, I'm ready for 2 days. And
anything less than 48 hours is fast.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like 7 hours. And once and I was like in denial, because I was like, no, it's going to be longer. It's going to be longer. It's going to be longer. Then my water broke, and I was like, we need to fill the tub right now.
Yeah.
And so the midwife did not make it. So there was Drew was so stressed in that way because of all of our past, trauma and everything and anxiety. And he was just like, okay, nobody's going to be here. Okay, Malu's the only one that knows what to do. Okay, cool. And he just sat there. It was quiet and gave me the coconut water when I wanted and turned the music on if I needed to change a song. And he was like, and kept a straight face. Yeah.
Did you feel present enough to kind of direct him, or were you totally in what they call labor land?
Yes, exactly. I could not not really communicate except for like one word or whatever. But in my head, there's a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so like this is gonna happen. Okay, if like she's too big or if she's like this or anything like that, like this is what I'm gonna have to do. I'm the only person that can do these things. So like, I was on internally, but I just had my eyes closed.
Because you can't explain all that, especially to a man who's like, I hope she knows.
Yeah, and he was just doing his best to just be like, I'm here, and I'm here for you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And, even that, like, for him to not agree that he had to agree, but, like, to be okay with having a second home birth after that, like, he was, like, I told him when we were pregnant, I was like, so, and he's like, yeah, I know. That's okay, just making sure. We're good. We're on the same page.
Yeah, I love it. I know, I feel like there's, like, two kinds of husbands. My husband tends to be like Drew, where he's like, whatever you want, wherever you're most comfortable, let's go for it. Even if there's certain supplements I think you should take or food we should eat, he's like, whatever, you're in charge of that department. Yeah. Whereas I don't even know our bank login. That's his department, we just like kind of each do our own thing. But I have some just friends and that are wives, and they'll be like, oh, my husband would never eat that, or I try to get him to take this and he won't. And I'm like, wow, you have to like fight him? Like, you're a nurse too. Like, he doesn't just do what you say. So that's good that he was like ready to take orders. Like, you're in charge of this department. You're in charge of your birth. That's really, really important. So that's good. And it was very like nice. Restorative. And then
yes, it was perfect.
Layla's healthy and beautiful and amazing.
The midwife didn't make it. So we called her and she just physically wouldn't have been able to make it there on time. Like when we called her, she was born like about 30 minutes later, and she lives 45 minutes away.
Wow. Hey. So did she even come for after?
She came after. She was actually at another birth at the time.
Oh, okay. So
there was that too.
Literally impossible.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, very cool. So then, were you planning for Cohen? Were you wanting another baby? Or stoked?
Drew told us one day, he's like, we need a baby in the house. I was like, oh, do we? I was like, Layla's a baby still. Yeah. But he was ready for another baby, and I was too. And that, the time and the gap is perfect, I think. Like the 3-year gap for me, like she's very self-sufficient and finally is a daddy's girl, and that like came just towards the end of the pregnancy.
Perfect. That's amazing.
You want to be heard?
No. We're talking about you, buddy. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, my mom has always said that too, because I'm the oldest, and my brother is 3 years younger than me, and she's like, 3 years was perfect. You were potty trained. You were, all these things that you're probably experiencing, and now I'm going to have 2 under 2. So I'm like, wait, this is not what my mom told me to do. But thankfully, Evelyn will be like 22 months, so it'll just barely be a 2-year-old, but I feel like she's a first daughter, so I think she can handle it. I've heard first daughters are, very prompt. They learn things quickly. They adapt quickly. They are independent. So I think we'll be all right. But cool. So you're planning for a baby, hungry to be pregnant again, which is so fun. And now you're in Jacksonville, and knew you were gonna have birth with Mandy. Was she your midwife, or her?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, we didn't actually talk about it at first. We were just like, I was like, oh, okay, guys, I'm pregnant, and we talked about that. And then I texted her, I was like, I didn't actually specify, and I don't mind because I would have any of you, but I just kind of thought it was unwritten, we didn't need to say it, that it was going to be you. And she's like, yes.
100%.
And I was like, I will be there. And I was like, all right, that's what I thought. Just
she's like, I'm not missing this.
But I would be, happy with any of the ladies coming.
Yeah, I love that. That's so special, especially because y'all are in school together and stuff. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So was this birth like faster? Because I've heard, now knowing it was your third, I've heard those can be kind of crazy. It's like a wild card birth.
It was the wild card.
Okay.
It was faster, but he did decide to be OP, so he was sunny side up.
Nice.
And I didn't know that.
More challenging, of course, yeah.
And, his size also made him a little bit harder to come out.
How much did he weigh?
He was 10 pounds even.
10 pounds even. My baby, Evelyn, was literally 5 pounds even. It's literally half of him. That is crazy. And everyone was freaking out. Like, are you sure you were 41 weeks and stuff? I'm like, we did like early dating. We did all the things. Like, I think she's just super small. It's just crazy.
She's just a cute little peanut.
Yeah,
okay? Let her be.
And everyone's like, I think your second baby is going to be harder. I'm like, great. The VBAC, the one that I'm going to plan to have vaginally is going to be bigger. Like, I could have done the 5-pound one second, please.
She would have fell right out.
Yeah, exactly. But cool. So were you like in denial again? I've always heard like that.
A little bit, yeah.
That's kind of like the key. And that's what I told myself for my first like pregnancy, and what I'm telling myself again for this labor is like, you just deny it for as long as possible.
Yeah,
so
until you're pushing a baby out,
literally,
you're not in labor.
Then it's real. Like, then I'll believe it. So did your water, like, I guess, first of all, did your water break with Layla, and was it different this time?
My water broke 30 minutes before she was born. So and not like in labor. It wasn't like how labor started or anything like that.
Okay.
But for him, my water broke, and I was like, is it, or did I just like, because I was on the toilet, I was peeing. And I was like,
man, that's hard to tell.
And I was like, let me test it.
How bad did I have to pee? Wait.
And I tested it, but like once it did, like I felt like a drop of him and everything. And I was like, I'll test it. And then I was like, maybe not. Maybe it's not. And then I tested it again a couple minutes later. I was like, okay. And then like Drew's watching the Gator basketball game, and he's like,
priorities, of course.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't know. Like I didn't tell him yet. And I was like, I text Mandy, and I was like, hey, because she's going to a concert, and I was trying not to be in labor so she could go to the concert.
I'm sure she doesn't
And she's
mind.
like, I'm leaving right now. I was like, okay, I think if we have some time, like, don't worry about it. And I hadn't had contractions or whatever.
Not at all? You weren't in any pain?
No, my water
early
broke.
Labor?
After I put Layla to bed. So I tell Drew, I'm like, hey, my water broke. And he's like, okay, so like, what do I do? I was like, just watch the game. I'm going to put Layla to bed and nothing's happening. So like, just chill. And then I put her to bed. She falls asleep. And then like my first contraction comes like 30 minutes after she goes to bed.
Was it like pretty intense already? Because what I've heard, because my water didn't break, and my story's crazy. So I haven't experienced this. That's why my questions are just like, wait, tell me more. So I've always heard that once your water breaks, things are more intense. So if that's how labor started for you, or did it just start off really intense?
Yeah. It basically, I had like a few kind of like, oh, okay, my body's definitely contracting. Then I was like, oh, okay, I'm contracting for sure.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. So like, as far as like pain management, what are kind of like, what's your go-to? What's your mojo? Do you have any tools and resources or mindsets, or like what
I just breathe.
That's it. Just breathe.
Which is like how I've always done like any kind of like pain in my life. It's just like, okay, slow it down. And then labor, movement helps me.
For sure.
So just like trying different positions and trying to get comfortable and figure out what works.
Yeah.
So that, and then I just, when I go to labor, I'm like completely inside.
Yeah. Just like totally.
Once it like gets serious, like I have no words.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. I'm like shut down to the outside world.
Yeah.
I'm still doing a lot.
Yeah.
Lots of things are happening inside
Well,
my
especially
head.
medically, you're so trained. You have lots going on in your mind, like checklists, like boxes that are.
But externally, I'm asleep to
silent.
The world. Yeah.
So like, is she okay?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So was it pretty fast after that, or?
Yeah. So total was, once contraction started, he was born 5 hours later.
Okay, wow.
So yeah, that was fast. But it felt like forever. Like it felt way longer than Layla's birth, even though it was 2 hours shorter. But like Layla's birth did not feel like this, it was just, it seemed much more mild to me. And then for him, but maybe because he was posterior, but I didn't get back labor or anything like that. It just was like really intense. But I had basically like a pinched cervix in the front. Like I had my anterior lip and it was thick, and he was there. So I had a lot of pain, like just right above my pubic bone.
Yeah.
Very pinchy. And I'm like, oh, what is happening?
Yeah. You're just like, this is different. Oh man. So when you say like different positions for people who are like new to birth, maybe this is their first pregnancy and they're listening, what are some positions that you tried and hated, or that are like really effective at helping you cope? Like what are some of those that you try? What are your go-tos?
So I started just like doing the mile circuit, trying that out. And child's pose is nice as long as you got a nice comfy thing on your knees, because otherwise your knees are just like, no way.
Right.
Also, just to me, like squatting feels nice at all times in labor.
Just like up against the bed, or
like kind of like leaning over and like,
or birth ball,
just like,
or something. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sounds nice.
Just moving the hips. Like that is always what like feels nice, and just like kind of like always swaying. I feel like I'm always swaying. And then like while I'm at a birth with somebody else, I'm just like swaying, and I'm like,
it's kind of like once you have a baby and you get the rock and the sway, even when you're not holding your baby, you're like, am I rocking right now? I'm not rocking a baby. Yeah. So it's the same with labor. You got the midwife sway.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I love it. So just change it. Okay. Squatting. What about like, I've heard the toilet is like super intense. Have you ever like labored on the toilet?
Yeah. So for the first labor, that was like the long labor. Then yes, we did all the positions and all the things. And the toilet was, for some reason I couldn't pee that labor. So like I could only pee sitting on the birth ball. And
That's inconvenient.
very inconvenient, but I don't know why. I just like needed some kind of like pressure or something like that. So the toilet was just kind of useless to me. It didn't feel more intense. It was just a long, intense labor the whole time.
Yeah.
So I don't know what was more intense or less intense at that point.
Yeah, it was just on all sections.
It was just forever.
Yeah.
I was completely delirious. I hadn't slept in 2 days.
I can imagine. That's wild. Okay, so squatting, that's a good one. I like that. And then, so where did you end up? When did Mandy come? Like when, as a midwife, you literally free birthed pretty much, which I don't know if you'd call it free birth if you yourself are a midwife, because you technically did have a midwife there.
Yeah, and I had intentions of having someone.
Yeah, exactly. But so like, when do you need support? When do you text to have someone there?
Yeah, I told her like my contract. I was like, yeah, I think things are getting kind of serious. Like I just had to like start tuning out of Drew.
Yeah.
Like when he would like say something, I was just like, and I was like, okay, I need to tell Mandy that she should come.
Yeah.
So Mandy was there, and so I let her know, and then Allie, who was our birth photographer, she came.
Okay.
So I let them know, and she's like, okay, you want to go fill up the pool? And I was like, yeah, Drew's doing that. Drew had the task of filling up the tub, not the tub with water, but with air, blowing it up.
Oh,
and he was came to ask me, he's like, so should it be like kind of hard or really hard? And in my experience, every time I go to a birth, the husband has not filled it up enough.
Okay.
So I was thinking I should tell him. I was like, it should be really hard. And then I just hear,
oh,
and he's like, I think I popped it. And I was like, yeah, you did.
Oh no. So did you just not have a tub?
Well, that was the tub that I always have on me.
Yeah.
So then I like called Mandy really quickly. And I was like,
she wasn't
hey,
there
do you
yet.
have a tub?
Okay.
And then she's like, yeah, I just checked. I have a tub. So I was like, okay. So I just got into my...
Popped it. No.
He was so upset with himself.
Oh my gosh. Man.
And I was just like, it's okay. We're going to pivot because Mandy has a tub. We're not going to get a tub until she gets here, or we'll have a baby before then. Whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
And
we're not going to dwell on this.
You're so chill. You're like, let's move on. We have bigger fish to fry right now. Oh my gosh.
So we got into our bathtub, which is like, just a regular bathtub, and it's like small in there. So I just like trying to find comfort or anything, but I just needed warmth on my belly.
For sure.
Like just from that pinching sensation. So I was like, fine. And then like I hear the door open, and then I open my eyes and Mandy's there.
Yes.
And I had also called my sister. My sister was in Gainesville at the time, and she was coming to be like another hand. My mom was in town with Layla, but just another hands-on with Layla.
Yeah.
Because
Who was sleeping, right?
Who was sleeping at this point, yeah.
Perfect
and
timing.
likes to sleep with us, so she needs a body. So when she like woke up, my sister just like slid on and put her arm, and she was like, okay, yeah, that's it. I just need a human.
Yep. I love that. That's so good.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody made it there. And then Mandy's filling up the tub. We make it to the tub. So once we moved into this house, I told Drew, whenever I get pregnant, we're building a deck, and I'm going to have a baby on this deck. And he's like, okay. So Brandon, Mandy's partner, built our deck.
Yeah.
And then, it was like done maybe like a few weeks, like maybe a month before he came. And then I had him on the deck.
Outside,
Yeah.
amazing. And was the weather perfect? Was it too hot or anything? Because it's already like a million
I'm like
degrees.
so sweaty anyway,
Yeah.
like in labor. So I'm not sure. I think it wasn't too hot for them. I don't know.
Yeah. You're like, if they suffered, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
they weren't, by the time Mandy got there around midnight, and he was born at 12:20,
Oh, wow.
right? Yeah, something like that.
Wait,
no,
like
2:12. Sorry.
Okay, I was like 20 minutes later. That's fast.
Numbers right now are not my thing.
Yeah, numbers are never my thing. So, okay. So, are you someone who does any type of like cervical checks, or do you need to know where you're at mentally, or you just
Not so. I mean, Layla, I couldn't. I had them done like with Anaya, but only like a couple. Just like, it'd been so long, so we need to kind of know what was happening.
Right.
And then with him, I was in the tub, and then I checked, and Mandy's like, "What do you feel?" And I was like, "I feel a lip." And
she's like, that's all I can focus on.
Yeah. And she's like, okay. And then like I just felt like I needed to push push it over his head.
Right.
Like sometimes you'll have someone manipulate it, which happened to me in my first labor, and that was like the worst thing that ever. Yeah, like I could have done anything else again, but having someone do that for me, I was like, was the most pain.
And that's what you needed again this time?
Yes, but I got to do it myself.
Okay, and it was better?
Yeah, it didn't feel painful.
Okay, good.
So, like, I'm in control of it,
totally.
like, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I got to do that, and then I felt it slip over the head, and I was like, okay. And I was like, all right, guys, the lip is gone. I told Mandy, I was like, I think maybe I need to get out of the tub and, like, side lie, because, like, those are, like, some of the things that you can do, like, to, like, reduce it and everything. I was like, okay. And then, like, she's like, okay, let's do it. And then I was like trying to get out of the tub. I could not get out of the tub. They were just coming so fast, and I was like, no.
Yeah, because sometimes people say things get more intense in the tub, but other times it like slows it down. But for you, it was like keeping things going, keeping it intense.
He was coming no matter what. Like,
so once you remove that lip and get it out of the way, are you like 10? Like that's it? Like once they're past?
Yeah, because his head, I could feel his head and everything like that. So I did,
That was the only thing kind of holding him back.
Yes. Besides just like his mass.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's wild. And how much did Layla weigh?
8.
Okay, so it's not too much.
Not too
bigger,
far
but
off.
Still,
yeah. But then, like, in the position that he's in, like, just
double
slower,
trouble.
Yes.
Jeez, little troublemaker. Okay, so then what about after that? Like, where did things just immediately intensify? Like, that's really all it was kind of...
I was feeling the urge to push basically since, like, around midnight, since, like, Mandy had gotten there. It's just that it was pushing like on a cervix. And I was just like,
so were you holding back? Like, could you
I was
hold back?
trying to, like, as much as I could, like, breathe through them. Because I didn't want to, like, cause all this swelling or anything like that. So I was just breathing as much as I could, but, you're like trying to breathe through it and your body's, like trying to hold in a poop, You're just like,
it's impossible.
I'm like trying, but.
That's what I say, because we transferred to the hospital while I had the urge to push.
Yeah.
I always say it's almost like trying to stop sneezing. Like, you're just going to sneeze.
It's just going to happen.
It's just going to happen. So yeah, I totally can relate in that sense.
So I was doing my best. And then once it was done, then I was like, okay, now I can like actually like give into it and like also like add my own like force to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to like look at the chart to know the exact time between it. But it was not that long before like they could see his head.
Yeah.
But it was so tough to push him out. Like, it just felt like so much energy.
Yeah.
Like, every time I was just like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I have enough energy to do that the next time. And it's funny because even the 2-day labor, I never thought like, oh, maybe I can't do this. And with his labor, I was like, I don't know, maybe I can't do this. And I did like the whole like conversation that I'd have with someone like, well, if you go to the hospital, they're going to tell you this, like, it's going to take this long. You're going to have a baby before this. And I was like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
never mind.
It's like, like kind of what the angel and devil on your shoulder, like you're being the midwife to yourself, you're like having that conversation.
Yeah. So I did that and I was like, okay, yeah, never mind. It's going to be, it feels like a long time, but this
we're
baby
moments
will come.
away. Yeah. I mean, the closer than you've ever been.
Exactly.
That's what I was telling myself. I'm closer than I've ever been. Just keep going. That's so good. So people talk about like the ring of fire and things like that. Like probably nothing hurt as bad as having like, the cervical lip and how challenging like that pain and pressure and pinching is what you said was.
Yeah.
So after that, was anything as intense or it was just all a breeze after that?
No, he was still tough to get out. Just, because... He also was like a little asynclitic, so his head was a little sideways. So when he came out, he had like a little, bubble on his head from the swelling from there. So he was a little crooked, and then finally, made his head out. And then still, I was like, oh my gosh. So once his head came out, I just was like, somebody needs to go get Layla. And my mom ran inside. And
what time was it?
Layla.
At 2 a.m?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Because was she very excited to be a part of it and stuff?
She really wanted to be part of there.
That's so special.
So at 2:10, his head was born, and I yelled to go get her. My mom brought her and my sister, and they're both like very sleepy and like, what's happening? And then so she got to see, because it was 2 minutes later. Yeah. So then they made it back before his head, like the rest of him was born.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it probably felt like a dream to her. She's like, wait, am I awake? Am I dreaming this?
She's like a little bit scared because there's so many people. And she's like, what's happening?
I'm pretty sure I was just asleep and not everyone's here. Oh my goodness.
And then she just like came to life and she's like, it's a baby. And I was like, yes, it is.
And was that just like the oxytocin boost you needed? Like having her there was probably so special.
That's the best thing. I mean, even like when I was thinking about like being in labor and everything, I was just like, oh, I I can't wait to do this, like, and have her there and like have her be a part of it and see it and like normalize it for her at this age.
Yeah.
You know, like
such
start
a young
that.
age. So special because it was the same for you, you know, the way your mom talked about it and stuff. Did your mom have like your siblings at home? Were you ever a part of a home birth?
I wasn't there. So she lived with my stepdad for my younger two sisters.
Okay.
So we weren't there for those births.
So you didn't experience any
No,
of your
I didn't
siblings.
get to, just
So
like the next morning.
Yeah, you get to give that to your
Yes.
daughter though. That's so special. I'm excited for that too, but again, she's also gonna be still pretty young, you know, and it's crazy because actually one of my earliest memories, like if I try really hard, you know, to reach back as far back as I can, I do remember my grandma bringing me to the hospital. I have this very faint memory of going to meet my little brother.
Aww.
I don't remember seeing him. I don't remember any of that, but I remember like, I mean, I don't know
being
if
in the car or
yeah,
something, like the archway
as a
or something.
3-year-old, I don't know if I ever been in a hospital, but I remember like, this is happening. I'm going to go meet my brother. I like picture us like walking into the hospital. So I'm like, as a 2-year-old, my sister, you know, or even a 3-year-old, like there will be these faint memories of it. It's still like implanted deep in their memory. That's so special.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, she loved Maya's birth video.
Really?
We had to watch it like multiple times. And
So
it's like,
precious.
you know, 10 minutes, like the whole thing. And I was like, well, we've been here for an hour. Okay, we watched like a full length film now. So we're gonna cut it off now.
You've memorized everything, and then Maya says this, and then
yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's.
But
so
she
funny.
loves birth videos.
I mean,
so.
it's a good thing to be obsessed with.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Especially as a woman, I love that, like making it so normal, and that's what I feel like our culture just doesn't really do a very good job at. So I feel like in individual households, individual families, like we're changing that tone and that like heartbeat behind birth, which is so special. So she walks in, and then the baby's pretty much he's coming out.
Yeah.
Now,
and then Drew catches him.
Yeah.
And says like it's a boy because we didn't know.
Yeah. And were you super shocked or like?
I was pretty surprised, but I still like I was just so exhausted from like I just.
Everything.
Was just like, what? Okay, it's a boy. And I was like, all right, grab him, like hold him. And I was just like, just kind of coming to life. I was like, oh, I can open my eyes. Like I had my eyes closed the whole time. And then finally I was like, oh, I can open my eyes. I can see. I can like take a second and like take in what is around me.
Yeah. And then you're like, wait, did you say boy?
Yeah.
Then it was all real. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Oh man, I was gonna ask a question that I got excited about. You're saying that it was a boy because I know the whole time you were just thinking it was probably a girl. Was that just
we were
because
2 for 2 for girls, so it was like, oh, we'll probably have another girl.
Yeah, and Layla really wanted a girl.
Exactly, and Drew's always been
sister.
like, I'll be a girl dad. Like I think I'm gonna be a girl dad, and I think maybe that was like a little defense mechanism for him. And then he's like, oh, I got a boy. He's like, I never knew I wanted a boy like as bad as I did until like I have a boy.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's so cool. Even at such a young age, like it's not like they're roughhousing yet. No. He's like,
oh, Layla's crazy. She wrestles him all the time. So
that is hilarious. I love it. That's so cool. So it all progresses so fast after that. You come to, and what position did you end up being in? Like when he was
I was like
out?
semi-reclined, so like just like leaning back. And then,
not all the way on your back like most women in a hospital birth. It's always like so interesting.
Yeah, you're like arms are up on the like tub and
kind
stuff
of just
like
like chilling,
Exactly.
chilling more, not laying back. That's amazing. So was Layla just like in awe? Like she was just standing back and watching? Was she right up in your face? Like wanted to be
she
all
was
over?
Standing kind of like down, like, at the end of the pool when he came out. And then like then I was holding him. So he was here. So she came behind like me, like right next to Drew. So Drew's on this side. She's like right behind me so that she can kind of like see him and everything. Yeah.
So cute. And was she just immediately obsessed?
Yeah. She's just like, oh, it's a baby. It's our baby. Because she's been like wanting this baby to come out. And we had a wedding to go to, like, Drew's brother got married. So we had that wedding. And I was like, after the wedding, the baby can come anytime. And then like when we came home from that wedding, she's like, how come baby bear's not here? And I was like, she said, you said after the wedding. I was like, they can come. I don't know.
Like we're driving home from the wedding. She's like, it's time, Mom.
It's time. Yeah, let's do this. I was like, yeah, I'm down. If they want to come out, let's do it.
So it sounds like you watch like birth videos and stuff like that. But did she have like a lot of questions about like birth, or did you really like prep her, or
sometimes she was confused, like like if she saw blood or this and that, and I like told her what that was. I was like, and she didn't like when the babies would cry. If we watched a video where the baby would cry, she's like, why is the baby? I was like, no, they're just like saying hello.
Yeah,
like, it's their first breath. It's good for them, like because sometimes she's just like, no, the baby's crying, get really sad. I was like, it's okay. Like she would just
that
like
means
still
they're healthy, not sad.
Just associating like crying with like something bad,
For
you
sure,
know, like, oh, okay, they must be hurt.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, they're fine.
Yeah. Oh, give me a kiss. He's so precious. I always feel, especially because my daughter is a year and a half old and not even quite 20 pounds. So I still feel like I have such a little baby, and then I'm around a baby. I'm like, oh, but I get a little tiny one again. Like, she's not that little. She's a little crazy girl now. But I remember what I was going to ask. So, like, I know you said you go very, like, internal. Some women, it's very normal for them to be making noises and groaning, and, like, obviously it's very normal. Do you find yourself doing any of that even, like, as he's coming out? Or, like, was there anything that you feel like would have scared Layla, or like, you know, or you're just like silent, you know? I've also heard that.
Yeah, I
from women.
I feel like I'm not a very loud person, but like definitely like just that kind of like grunting and stuff like that you can't like, it just happens.
Right.
Because she did say, she's like, he was hard to push out. You said, And I was like, did I?
Goodness.
And she was like, yeah. And she told her whole school that. And I was like,
perfect.
All right, cool, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for repeating. Like, we saw her, the teacher, and she's like, it was really hard for her. She said, And I was like, I guess I did.
I mean, that's a pretty controlled way of, you know, pushing a baby out. At least she wasn't like, Mommy was screaming her head off.
No, she didn't say I screamed. So she wasn't, I think she just was like confused because she just woken up and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't remember making a lot of noise. Mm-hmm. You know, we were outside. None of the neighbors heard me. So I think we're good.
I know. I've definitely heard women say, like, I feel like I was so loud and so bossy and telling people what to get and, like, screaming. And Olivia, my doula, who does a lot of these, like, interviews, she was like, you were actually very quiet. Like, you would say,
yes,
water. Like, that's it. Like, really? I thought I was screaming.
The amount of women that after they give birth, they're like, I'm so sorry for being mean. I'm so sorry for screaming. I'm like, no, there are people that scream. Most of these women are not them.
Yeah, exactly. The ones who apologize probably weren't the ones that, you know, were going crazy.
Usually those are the ones that, like, sometimes you kind of, like, I've had to, like, kind of, like, rein someone in. They're just, like, kind of flailing themselves around and just like, oh, and I'm like, okay, like, take a breath. Chill. Like, it's okay. You can make noise, but, like, you're just, like, wasting this energy, like, you know, just kind of being frantic.
Yeah.
And, like, focus it.
Yeah.
Make as much noise as you want and do all that, but like
make it productive.
Yes, exactly. Don't just like let it all, you know, bounce off the walls.
Yeah, that's good advice. I love that. So you say that your main pain management is like breathing. So is there like a inhale for 5, exhale for 8 kind of thing you like try to mentally do? I mean, I know in labor land things get very blurry, but you know, is there anything mentally you try to do, or you're literally just trying to get to the next breath and just stay present? Like, is there...
Yeah, it's not like a counting. It's just like as slow and deep as I can breathe with each time. And that's like, okay, just let it go, and try to like, you know, make sure that I'm not holding my fists or anything like that. Just trying to like remind myself, the same as like when I see someone tense, like you just put your hand on their shoulder and then they like relax, like, okay, mentally put my hand on my shoulder and like tell myself
be the midwife to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm not in I don't really care for too much like hands-on or anything like that. Like the same as like when I'm sick, I just like want to go and hide. Yeah. And that's kind of like how I feel, like, oh yeah, I just need to be away. So I think like that's also like, okay, if people are going to be there, I need to like close my eyes to like shut down so that I just me. Otherwise, like I'm focused on other people.
Yeah, that makes sense. So is there anything that you ask Drew to specifically do, or is there anything he knows he should say or knows he should have like as a partner?
No, it's funny because he brings up, and I forgot that this happened, but I was, you know, just like going through it, and he was just like, "You're doing it. You're gonna make it." And I just, and he's like, and all you said was, "I know." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And he's like, "It's okay.
You're not wrong."
Yeah. He's like, "Nope, you got this. I guess. Yeah. I know nothing. I'll just sit here and just be quiet. I guess like everybody." Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like brush you off.
You're like,
I appreciate the words. And he's like, "No, it's fine. I'm gonna remember it forever, but it's
That's
fine.
hilarious. And you're like, next time I need to write him like script cards or something. Like you're gonna get through this. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
You're like, right.
Yeah, okay, never mind now.
Yeah.
So I'll go stand in the corner, I guess.
Literally. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. So was it like a dream to have Mandy there? It was like a perfect birth team. Everything worked out. Your mom and sister were there, and they all got to enjoy the moment. That's amazing.
Yeah, and they were here. They were for Layla's birth too. My other two sisters. Well, no, one of my other sisters. My other sister, because my first birth was so long, she was. Was like, okay, you guys should come over, and they lived like 10 minutes away, and she made a bagel. So she missed it.
That's it. She made a bagel.
And she's like,
so she
I just
missed it.
thought like I had time to make a bagel. I was like,
That's
should have
hilarious.
toasted it here. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
Bring your frozen bagel. Meet me at the house. That's hilarious. Darn it. Okay, so that's a takeaway note. Tell your friends. Tell your family.
If it's time, it's time.
Yeah, especially the second. So what was like your favorite moment? Like, is there a moment that you look back on and you're just like, it's like ingrained in you forever?
Just, I would say just having that time that like Layla and Drew behind me and just being in that little bubble of like, okay, this new baby, and seeing her face and watching her just like wake up, but like also like wake up in a whole other way of like, I'm a big sister now, and like so excited and just... Yeah, that was the best.
That's so special. Like, you're literally watching your family be created,
Yes.
Like, bringing a life into this world is obviously so special in its own way. But, yeah, it's something I personally haven't done before. It's, like, create a sibling, I'm sure it's, like, so surreal. Like, seeing her see him for the first time. You're just like, this is life right now happening.
It's so special.
Wow, that is so amazing. Oh, my gosh. Okay, I'm, like, way too pregnant for this, Mom. Was there anything that really, like, surprised you, or anything that you look back and like, I cannot believe this happened? Or I mean, obviously
just
might be
like
able to pick out a few things.
I mean, how hard it was, even though like I'd already done it like twice before and everything like that. I would say his labor was harder than my first labor. Like it felt like so much energy was like being drawn from me each time, and I was just like, oh my God, like. And I feel like I maybe even rushed them at the end. Like, okay, yeah, we're good. I need to go to sleep. Like, bye, guys.
Like after like when they're doing the newborn exam, so like, he's fine. Just go.
I mean, she did it all. She did everything, and I was like, okay. And I was like, I'm like gonna fall asleep. I like kind of remember saying goodbye to them, and I had to pee so much because I drank so much coconut water. I drank a gallon of coconut water in labor, and I was just like, oh my God, I have to get up to pee again. And Mandy's like, you peed like I think 4 times before I left. I was
my gosh.
I know.
And like, their job is to make sure you pee at least once. So she's like, okay, Malu's good.
She's like, surpassed it. We're good. The bladder works.
That's amazing. So I know a lot of people talk about like the newborn having like this great first sleep right after that. So it sounds like besides having to pee, you had a great sleep. Was he also exhausted? Both like all got
he was
rest?
Done. I woke up before him. And he was chill. I think he maybe kind of like, they sleep, the kids sleep with us. So he maybe kind of like nuzzled me, but I don't think he actually even wanted anything. He just wanted to be like, hey, there's a body here. Yeah. You're still my home, so I need you.
Yeah. He's like, I was just inside of this person, so I need to be close.
Can I come back?
Like,
no.
Am I still inside?
Yeah.
That's good, but you got some rest.
Yes, because we went to bed at like 5 after that, And then Layla also took a really nice nap, thankfully.
Nice. Yeah. So how was that like transition? Like now you wake up, no, I mean, I guess like your mom and sister are still at your house and stuff, so you have help, but now you're a mom of 2 all of a sudden, like it's happening. I'm asking you because I'm curious. It's like, wow, now there's 2 of you. They're multiplying. Like, how does that even feel?
I mean, it feels great for the most part. I mean, there definitely is a lot of like divide and conquer, between like 2 parents. I don't know how people do it by themselves. Like that is just like, I'm beyond myself thinking that like, oh my gosh, some people like have 2 kids and don't have a partner and do all these things. Like, crazy. I don't know how you live and where you sleep, how that works. Because then he'll wake up, and if we like, he didn't sleep or like is in a weird sleep pattern, he can get up with Layla, they can do their thing, and we can take a rest. Or, like, okay, like he can take her for, depending on how busy his days work, he can, go on a run with her, and then me and him can chill and just relax. Like, so there's a lot of that. And then like when we do go places, I'm on Cohen duty, he's on Layla duty, he's running around with her doing that, and I'm like, I don't know how you get to do that when you like, I need to rest.
For
and
sure.
she's really good still about like letting me rest, like, okay, and helping do things and all that. So that's great. But like that doesn't work all the time. She's still a kid and she has needs, and she needs like attention and needs to like, yes, be played with. Thankfully she loves reading books, so she just brings like a pile of books.
Perfect.
And then I would read it to her and she'd go to the next one, and we'd just do that for a few hours.
A few hours. Amazing.
She loves reading.
That's awesome. Have there been any struggles like, where she really wants your attention and you're like really like struggling? Maybe Drew's at work and you're like, oh my gosh, like it's a tough moment.
Honestly, she's really transitioned to the daddy's girl, so it's harder because she wants him and he's like in a meeting or something, and then I have to like pull her out. But she's mostly upset that she doesn't get to be with him right now, which like, was a little stab to the heart. But like I would have been like an emotional wreck if she needed me as much as she did, like like in the beginning of pregnancy and stuff. And having like him like physically need me and her like need this like attention, and I'm not being able to like give it to her. I would have been just like crying every day and all this. But now it's like, okay, she wants him most of the time, and then like she wants to snuggle with me. So that's it's a perfect.
She still loves you, but she like gets to be like have a lot of fun like with her dad. That's awesome.
She loves this one, so she wants to snuggle Cohen all the time.
Oh,
I'm like, okay, he's sleeping.
So is she like rough with him a little bit? You said she roughhouses with like Drew and stuff.
She like has her cuteness aggression, and she like grinds her teeth, but her hands are not in fists.
She holds back.
Her hands are soft with him as she's just like, I want to pet him. I'm like, okay.
It's hard, I know. I want to just chew on his little chubby cheeks too.
And she's like, he's so yummy, I want to eat him. I was like, who did you hear that from? Because I don't say that about him, but she's like, I just want to eat him. And I'm like, okay. You have that like innate like sensation and that thought already so young. I didn't know, but she really thinks he's very cute.
Clearly. That's amazing. I love that. That's so precious. Yeah, talking about like single women doing it alone, I would say that's something in my mind, like because me and Alex, he works from home most of the time. He is, goes out and does like different things at times. But if I'm ever like, oh my God, I have to XYZ, or can you please just watch her for 5 seconds while I go to the bathroom or something? I at least sometimes have him here, or a lot of times have him here. But there's days when I'm like coming home from the beach and he's not home, or he is like in a meeting or on a call. And I'm like, usually if I shower with her really quickly, I'll like hand him Evelyn, and then he'll like take her so I can finish washing my hair or whatever. So there's certain times that I'm like, if he's unavailable, I'm like, well, how would I shower? And I literally have to think that. I'm like, there are women whose husbands are deployed right now, or there are women who are doing this alone, and they have no choice. And I like have to tap into that part of my brain, like almost like survival instinct. Like if I didn't have that as an option, I would just figure it out, And if she has to stand there for 5 seconds while I dry off and she's crying, nobody's dying, so it's okay. So I kind of have to talk myself through that. I'm like, some women do this alone. So what would I do if I was alone right now? Which I kind of am, even though he's just on the phone. I think your tolerance to crying increases. At least I feel like, because I like if Layla cried for like a second, I was like, oh my God, and now I'm like, oh, okay, like I can't actually get to you right now because I'm doing this, so like I'm sorry, buddy, but I'm gonna be right there, and I'm gonna get to you, but it can take 10 seconds instead of the 1 second, like I guess, and I don't need to stress myself out. I guess that's such a great perspective. It's a good question for me to ask, is how do you feel yourself showing up differently as a mom with a second, like being so fresh, like mentally, even probably physically, how are you starting to divide your mind like that? Well, like that, like the whole like kind of like crying thing, letting them like, okay, they'll be okay, and just reminding myself that like I am gonna give you my all. I just need to, like get these things done, and like I'm sorry. And then sometimes I like talk about Drew and like, I hope I don't do that just because he's a boy. Like, am I like meaner to him? And I was like, no, it's fine. It's just that I have another person that's like physically dragging me and saying like, no, this is what I need. Like, okay, I need to get both of you guys situated. And he
can sit there and just be like a little upset and it will be fine. And then I just like carry him all the time, like in
a carrier,
in the carrier or the wrap, like, okay. And he just kind of like, gets a little, sometimes he gets a little shafted because, but he'll usually go to sleep. So he's happy. And then I'm, can give Layla like my full attention for those little bursts and things.
I love that. It's so good. So what lessons have you learned through birth? Like if for a mom going through maybe her very first birth, or even, I don't know, maybe a mom preparing for a second birth, what have you learned that has carried through all of your births? What's compounded? What would you advise to a mom?
I mean, yes, what we said, ignore it. Like labor's going to happen. You're going to go through it. And just remember that it's like a finite amount of time. That it can't last forever. Yeah. A baby will be born.
That's what Drew was trying to tell you.
Yeah, exactly. You got this. Yeah. It's going to happen. Like, yeah, I got it.
Right. It's impossible for the baby not to come out.
Exactly. The baby will be born, whether, it is staying at home or transferring, anything like that. Baby's going to come out. The rest of the life is way longer. So like, yes, we want to focus to bring our baby into the world in this like nice, beautiful, start them off in this, beautiful, serene place. But it's going to happen. So just keep on going there. And I mean, to me, I think like also postpartum is like forever. So think about those kind of things and have a support system and try to build that, because it's so important to have that after, and people like, get caught up on like all like the pregnancy and labor, which are very important things, but it's just like, okay, you have a baby. Yeah. And now what?
Yeah. Postpartum lasts way longer than labor.
Exactly. And you don't have like, okay, so all of your pregnancy, you have checkups and you have people like checking in on you, doing all those things and then it's like, okay, after those first few weeks, people are like, okay, well, you have a baby, it's kind of boring now, and like, or if you don't have friends that are having babies, or it just kind of like loses the freshness. They lose the newborn smell, and people stop showing up. Like they're like, oh, we don't want to smell your baby anymore, so we're not gonna come over and help you.
Oh my gosh, that's a good way of putting it. So how did you prepare for postpartum differently this time?
Well, actually, every single time my mom has been with us. She was with us longer with Layla, because she was with us for like a month with Layla, and then she was with us for 2 weeks with him. But then she went down to Miami to see the rest of my family and then came back up. Okay. So like a little like separated, so we got to have like our own time. Although she's very good about just kind of like stepping out and like just cooking the meal. You guys need anything? Okay, I'm gonna go on my walk and do this. Like, so it's not like
overbearing.
She's not really in our space. She does good. All the things that we need her to do, because like I'm just like the cooker and cleaner and like all those things. So like she just steps into my role and I get to relax.
That's so good. Yeah, that's what Mandy and I were talking about. It's like just helping make sure the mom is fed and has water and meals keep coming at her. Yes. Like that's like the priority. Now, are you a big stickler on like staying in bed for the first week and not, walking around? You're like pretty strict on yourself with physical movement and stuff.
I didn't leave. I think I left the threshold of our door, like of our room, like on day 3, and just to move to the couch so that I could be where all the books were. And then I would go there and then stay there for the day. Except for, just going to the bathroom. And our house is pretty small, so it's not a very far walk to the bathroom.
That's awesome. I love that. And I feel like it's not talked about enough. Women like preparing for postpartum. Even I have like friends who have had C-sections and stuff, which I, even more so. I was like, you ladies as midwives were hard on me, like telling me how to prepare for postpartum and the first week and the first 2 weeks. So I already had that in my mind. But then once I had surgery, I was even more strict on myself. So, but then I've talked to other moms and friends of mine who they ended up having a C-section, all kinds of stuff. They're like, oh, it was like, I think it was like less than a week later. I just had to get out about it and go to lunch and do this. And I'm like, my midwives would kill you. Yeah. I'm just kidding. But, it's just not talked about enough, like how much you really should rest. I think giving yourself that space is so important.
It's so nice. Yeah. And then, like Drew, he didn't take off enough time with Layla. So he was like, he prepared for postpartum. Good. And was like, I'm going to be here for you and like be present. Yeah. And so that was like different for our postpartum plan too. Yeah. And which also like most of it was just like taking Layla and, you know, like, so that we could rest.
Right. Yeah.
And that was that's all we needed.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of interesting, if you don't mind me asking, I'm not going to hold you to it or anything, but as far as like returning to work, I mean, maybe after having one baby is one thing, but now you have two, and specifically birth work, like, are you excited to get back into, you know, other people's birth space? Or you're like really taking your time with it? Like, how are you feeling overall?
I won't go back on call until October.
Okay.
But
amazing.
yeah, so it feels like plenty of time.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
We need to figure out what is going to happen with him. But other than that, I'm excited for everything, like doing it. Just need to, you know, make a plan.
Logistics.
Yeah, exactly.
And how old will he be then?
So October's month 10, so -4, so he'll be 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
Okay. Math numbers. Oh god. Okay, cool. That's amazing. Yeah. I know some women rush right back into work and stuff, you know, so.
Yeah, Maya was like, no, don't do it. She was like, this is what I did, and this is what felt right.
Yeah.
And I should have taken more, you know. And I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds perfect.
That's so good. It's so probably refreshing being in a space with people who understand and give you grace, and, you know, not people who are pressuring you to get back into work.
Yeah, I know. I'm 7 weeks postpartum, so I was thinking like, oh my god, some people like have to go back to work already.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I remember thinking that also when like I had Layla, and I just remember like crying. I was like,
just even thinking about it.
I'm so sad for people, like for people to have to do it. And I remember like when I worked at a birth center in Miami and like having to sign people's FMLAs and asking them how much time. They're like, well, I get, you know, unpaid leave for 12 weeks, but I can't do that because I can't pay rent. So like, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And I just like, I was thinking about all the paperwork that I had signed in the past, and I was like, no,
you're
so
like
terrible.
Mad at yourself. Like, you should have never let them. You're like, I'll pay you.
Yeah.
I'll pay you to stay home. Yeah, that's so important. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you're getting the space, enjoying the newborn bubble. And you're right, postpartum does last forever. I like how you say that. You're just a new person forever. Every time you give birth, you know, just compounds, because then you got more stuff going on. But I know you got a wiggly baby, so I don't want to take too much more of your time. Is there anything else you feel like the world should know? Anything else moms need to take away from this?
I'm trying to think. I mean, there's so much to like think about.
We talked about postpartum. I think
postpartum is a very big one. You know, find people that you're going to connect with, enjoy, you know, like connect with moms and people that align with you and that will take your kids anytime, and just that you have that community, because community is just so important to have, and it's going to make you sane. Even if it's just like, you know, having that session of just like, I need to unload on, you know, you, and like talk about it, and like, oh wait, no, that happens to me too. You're like, oh, I'm not crazy. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, we're good.
We just need that validation.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. I talked to my friend Haley on this podcast a couple episodes ago, and her and her husband do a lot with like marriage and relationships. And she talks about how women process like literally what's going on in their brain through talking. Yes. So yeah, I used to think like support groups, or maybe even like the idea of this podcast could be pointless. Like, what's the point, like talking through all this? It's like, that's literally how we process information, is like hearing other women talk and then us responding and like kind of having that dialogue. So yeah, it really is so important. Yes. So, and also I feel like people showing up and just offering help, just like, hey, if you need to wash your hair, or like my mother-in-law one time was like, I can come take the baby for a walk. And I was like very freshly postpartum to the point where I'm like, I don't even want you to walk around the street with my baby yet without me. Like that was, as a new mom, I like felt like her going to China with my baby, you know, just walking around the neighborhood. But she offered that. And I'm like, I guess, I could wash my hair. And it really was life changing. I'm like, wow, I really needed her to take that 15-minute walk. So just like allowing yourself that space. Cause I think that was hard for me at first. It's like, I didn't feel like I needed space for my baby. So when people would offer it, or even my husband would be like, here, you want me to take her outside? I'd be like, I thought I was supposed to have her. It was like hard for me to like give myself space. But then once I did, I'm like, oh wait, I just had a few complete thoughts. That was crazy. Yes. Yeah. Like I felt like a human for a minute. So like allowing yourself to have that space also, even away from your baby, even if it's just washing your hair. Yeah. That makes all the difference. Like those little tiny moments that like make you a human again, and like bring,
you know, like you're like, oh, okay, wait, now I can be a better person,
Right.
you know, like having those little
show up as like your full self.
Yes.
That's good. I love it. Well, thank you for taking the time to share. I know there's a lot of people in our community who are so excited to hear your story, and then of course you can share it with friends and family members, give them all the juicy details.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad Cone was brought into this world. He's so handsome and healthy and strong, and you're such a strong mom for all that you've walked through with all of your pregnancies, labors, and the ups and downs of motherhood.
Yeah.
I think it's really powerful for women listening to just hear that they're not alone. I would say you're not momming alone, because sometimes it can feel very like isolating or different things. So I appreciate you sharing vulnerable moments and things, because other moms are out there hoping that there other people, like you said, other people are struggling just as bad as them, and they hear like, okay, yeah, there's peaks and valleys and stuff. So thank you for opening up. Thanks for taking the time. And more birth stories to come. Like I said, I'm a birth story nerd, so we're gonna have some more amazing birth stories. And the only one before you that has been shared on here is my crazy birth story. So yours is much more calming and reassuring and empowering. I would pray that mine is empowering in some ways too.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, so I'm excited for all the birth stories to come. More moms coming up. Follow us on Instagram, Our Virtual Village. And you're a part of the village. You get the community. So if you don't have it in your backyard, that's what we're here for. It's just building that community and connecting together. So I appreciate you, Malu, and catch you on the next episode.